Hey, everybody. So, I have Bobo Beer here because I just feel like I need to hold like a pillow or something, and that's what he's for. I'm not in little space. I'm just insecure. Um, so today is the 10-year anniversary at 10:30 tonight of the conclusion of my beating and the end of a 7-year relationship with a psychopath, narcissistic psychopath. Um, and I don't use that word lightly. I've done my research, I've done my homework. I mean, he was diagnosed narcissistic and he's absolutely a sociopath. I mean, absolutely, but I'll get into that. But the trauma of the beating is not, it was the conclusion, it was the end of everything. And in the hospital bed, after he beat me, I could think, this sucks now, but this is for the best because he let me go. I'm free. Now I'm finally free. And I think that, it takes a lot for a person to feel that way after, being bashed about the head. Um, so, I block a lot of what he did to me, of what I allowed him to do to me because I feel shame and stupid and gullible. But I guess we're just gonna begin at the beginning. And for those tuning in, so you know what you're in for, high trigger warning. I don't know how graphic I may get, but I might get like really, really, really graphic, and I might just like kind of give you the idea of what happened. I have no idea what's gonna come out of my mouth right now, um, because once again, this is my vlog for therapy. Any views are a consequence. The public aspect is because I need to be 100% myself in public in some way. I need to overcome that fear of people seeing the side of me. And complete strangers seeing it is the first step towards me resolving things and learning to accept myself for who I am. And I do highly recommend the blog process. It does help you look at yourself more objectively and foster some compassion for yourself and understand yourself a little bit better. But I digress. Uh, I'm explaining the abusive relationship that ended in my previous blog, the day I lived or the night I lived, and the follow up clarification video, which I also recommend you watch. They're earlier in my lineup. I don't know how to link things, and I'm not going to try. And I'm sorry, but if you want to know about the beating, I'm not going to go into the beating. I'm going to go into the relationship with the man who did almost kill me after 7 years, and the building up of the abuse and the breaking down of myself. I had childhood abuses. I had severe childhood traumas, but my PTSD was so enhanced by him. And so much of what I struggle with now in life is because of him, because, he was the adult mistake, the adult trauma. And the childhood trauma is a little more, I should have been protected. But in this situation, I didn't protect myself. I didn't protect my daughter, even though I thought I was. We're just going to begin at the beginning. All right, so flashback mode. 1996. I am going to high school and I am in foster care. I have lived in this foster home for a year. I am 15 years old. I go to a battle of the bands, and one of my friends, Tim, brings me over and he says, "You have to meet my friend." And Josh is sitting on a picnic table because we had picnic tables out back at the cafeteria where the Battle of the Bands was playing, and Tim and Josh were in a band together. And the Kremlin was Ian's band, wasn't it? So which one were they? They were, what's that flesh-eating disease? Not Ebola. Kuru. They were Kuru. That was the name of their band. I'm confusing that with my husband's pants, and oh my god, I'm sorry, Ian. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, not even a comparison. Uh, but yeah, so Kuru was playing. He played guitar, backup sang. Tim was lead singer. He's the guy I had the crush on, but he wanted me to meet Josh. Evidently, according to Josh, the story went, he told Tim that he wanted to find a girlfriend this night, and if he did not find him a girlfriend this night or somebody that was interesting, that he would not be in the band anymore. And with him came Frank the drummer, so there would be no band. So Tim was highly motivated to manipulate me because Josh specifically said that he was interested in me. I had never noticed the guy before. Evidently, he had noticed me. Um, but I mean, I bounced off the walls like a super ball. Like, I was very up, very bouncy. At that time, I was habitually cutting myself because of the abuse I was dealing with my stepfather. And I mean, my stepfather was actively abusing me at this time. So, I would cut myself same place and then hide it, ow, with a watch. Um, so, I mean, I was already pretty fucked up and vulnerable, and looking for anybody to act like they care. I mean, my mom wasn't getting me out of foster care. She was doing her own thing. She wasn't doing anything to help me, even though I wanted to come home. She didn't want me. My stepdad kept telling me how much we're not a family and he's not my dad, and just kept impressing upon me how incest isn't wrong, especially if you're not related, and that's a whole other thing. So this is what I'm going through when I meet him. I'm in foster care, um, with foster siblings that are much much younger than me. Um, my foster parents, my foster father had a beer stein in his living room just for himself. If you know how long a beer stein stays fresh once it's opened, and how big a mini keg is for one person, or a regular beer stein, like whatever they use for a beer stein, like a regular sized beer stein, um, you understand this man drank all day, every day. And my foster mother was very involved with, she had a new baby. I asked her once, what made you want to be a foster parent? Thinking, oh, well, she had some endearing story. And she told me straight out, it was for the money. So, yeah, that felt great. Um, so yeah. So Josh evidently targeted me, and I didn't realize. We talked that night, and I was like, whatever. Wasn't too interested in him, but like I didn't give a shit. Then I went to the band practices, and Tim really was pushing me towards Josh. I had dated their other band member who played bass, Jason, and Josh liked the fact that it was making Jason jealous because Jason told him I was like a Catholic schoolgirl. You were never gonna get my knees pried apart, and that's because I didn't sleep with a boy that I dated for 2 weeks when I was a virgin. Like, what the fuck do you expect? Like, I don't know. Anyway, like, he tried to talk him out of me by saying that he would never get laid. Josh took that as a challenge, which made him more interested in me. Um, and I mean, it was flowers on a very weak anniversary. It was his cologne sprayed on my pillow at night. It was photographs of him that I said goodnight to every night. It was meeting at the bus stop before and after school every day, even though I was grounded all the time. I think because of my grades. I don't know why I was grounded all the time. Um, it was, him being mad because I dyed my hair with sun in, so it got blonder, and I didn't tell him so. Um, I got glasses, and he offered to buy me contacts because I need them for reading so they can be bifocals for school, which just gave me a headache because the big part was just clear glass for distance, and then I had close up, and really, like, that's not what I needed it for. And so he saw me with glasses, and his first comment with me with glasses was, "I will buy you contacts." So that was great. And I mean, I lost my virginity to him. He asked me if I would. We hadn't gone very far. We hadn't done very many things. I think we had done hand stuff like once. Like, that's as far as I had gone with any boy voluntarily. Um, and I'm not going to say I didn't know my way around male anatomy. I did, unfortunately. But he was my first person that I did anything with, and therefore did everything with. And we've been together for 2 months, which, in high school life is like, oh, well, we have a future. And he asked me, and I thought about it for a little while, and I was like, all right. Because he was like, can we have sex? Will you take my virginity? And I was like, okay, we'll take each other's virginity. Um, it was in the back of his car. He took it slow at first and seemed like he was nice, and then all of a sudden just like thrust into me, hurt the fuck out of me. I started shaking horribly, triggered. He just kept going. And then when it was over, I was 10 minutes late for curfew and was standing there bleeding while my foster mother yelled at me for being late. Um, and I mean, it was literally like he was done, get dressed, go back to my house. Like no discussion, nothing. It was just he came, he was done with me, he dropped me off. But I didn't realize I was being used. Like I'd been used my whole life. Like I didn't realize that wasn't how that should have gone. I told my mother. I told my mom before I had sex that I was considering it because I was in foster care, so it was easier to talk to her. And she talked to me about birth control and all of that stuff. And when I told her that it had happened, I lied and I told her that he got me a hotel room and that it was nice. Um, because I knew she would have wanted better for me than the back of a car. With a blood stain that he pointed out for the rest of our goddamn relationship. The Malibu, the fucking blood stain that he was so fucking proud of. Gross. Like, clean your car, dude. And so we dated for a year. And then summer came around, and I was going to get out of foster care, and I was going to move back in with my mother, which was a half an hour away. And he had this friend, Tiffany, and she used to put his hair in a mohawk with the Elmer's glue during school because he he was very, very intelligent, so he went to half college courses and then worked half the day at a pharmacy. And she was in the same program. It was an accelerated college program. And because they already had enough credits to graduate already, and so they were taking pre-college courses or something. It was some program that they offered. So they were both in this program together, and then they went to work afterward, and then, after work he would come and see me. And so I was fine with them being friends. I was not the jealous girlfriend, no matter how much he tried to make me. I didn't even realize he was trying to make me. I was that oblivious to it. Um, I had a best friend named Ray who was madly in love with me, but still like knew where I stood, that I didn't return the favor. Uh, and he once sat and he told me, he's like, I love that when you don't understand something or you're thinking really hard, you turn your head to the side. And I love that when you're nervous, you play with your fingernails or you chew on your sleeves. And I love that you really listen to people and you think before you respond to them. You can tell because you look away. Um, that's the guy I should have dated. That's the guy I should have been with. Um, but that's the guy who I ran to whenever I got beaten up by Josh, and I mean, Josh wasn't too rough in high school. It was just a little bit here and there, and not enough for me to really notice that's what was going on. I was more concerned about what my stepdad was doing to me, and my foster parents yelling at me about smoking pot because they found a roach on the edge of the driveway, and I was like, I never smoke pot when I'm here. I only smoke when I'm with my parents, which was absolutely true. I never ever smoked pot unless I was at home with my parents on visitation because I smoked with my parents. I mean, my mom used to grow the shit, so. I was raised in that kind of culture, but I did not do anything except for smoke cigarettes. And my foster parents knew I smoked cigarettes, but when they backed me into a corner, I totally threw my mom under the bus. Because they threatened to drug test me, I knew I'd fail. So yeah. I mean, I knew there was something weird about him. Like, I would have flashbacks and episodes, and then all of a sudden, he's someone who has flashbacks and episodes. He stole my language. I invented new words all the time. Or I would pick up slang, like cool beans was a thing that I picked up, so I say cool beans all the time. All of a sudden, he's saying cool beans all the time. He was constantly copying me. Constantly need to know where I was. But I mean, I was more than happy to spend all my time with him. I didn't really spend time with any other friends besides him unless he was busy. Never checked up on what he was doing, even though he checked up on what I was doing, and never thought twice about that. I just was madly in love with him. I adored him. I could hear his cadence when he would walk down the aisle between, the seats in the theater when I would have theater after school, and he'd come to pick me up, and he had a bounce in his step. He wore Doc Martens, and he had a chain wallet and his keys. and he bounced when he walked. I don't know what it was, but he had this bounce to him. And he's a big guy. I mean, his ribcage was huge. Like, literally, even skinny, this guy was like a big guy. He had a big ribcage. He wasn't very tall. He was only like 5'9", 5'10", but like, big ribcage, like, just hardy guy. Wide shoulders. And he just had that bounce to him, and you knew when he was coming, and that sound would just make me happy, because that was my Joshy. He was coming. He was my happy place. He was my protector. He was going to, run away and save me. He was going to kill my stepdad, which I had to talk him out of. He even bought the crossbow. He was my knight in shining armor. He told me everything that was wonderful about myself, told me how wonderful and beautiful and fantastic I was. Until one day I had done a charity show for theater where we went to elementary school, and I had to do a dance number. I remember this because I had curled my hair in a ponytail and had it down and looked really pretty, and felt especially pretty that day, and really wanted to see him so he would see me looking pretty. And he didn't show up. And then I went home, and then like 3 hours later he called me and laughed at me to his stepfather on the phone. I don't know what story he had given them that his stepfather was on his side on there, because I was just blindsided. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Said he went to a party because it was the last day of school. It was the beginning of summer. Once again, I was moving in with my mom that summer. And he was just like, yeah, I sat with Tiffany in a hot tub and we decided we wanted to be together. So we're not together anymore. And I was crying and begging, and why? And just, he was like, because I don't like you anymore. It's over. Just give up. Like, I was so confused. And then I hung up and I cried, and my foster mother comforted me, because, I mean, it was my first real broken heart. And then he broke up with Tiffany and got back together with me. Later on, he told me it was because he was comparing who was better in bed. I was a virgin, so she won. While we were together, he told me that Tiffany might be pregnant, and how would I feel about that. And then he dumped me, so I don't know if she was already pregnant when he got back together with her, or if she got pregnant later. I don't remember anymore. With Joshy's age, and that story kept changing. So, yeah. My foster mother said that when we got back together for that small amount of time before he got back together with Tiffany, that when she saw him hug me, she was, like, disgusted by him putting his arms around me. She saw him for what he was. But then again, her brother-in-law, who, like, had cancer and also, like, beat the shit out of his girlfriend, like, when I left, he's like, when you turn 18, give me a call, I'll give you a ride on my bike. The guy was in his 30s. I was 16 when I moved out. Just saying. Like, what the fuck, men? Like, just because it has tits does not mean its brain is ready for you. Okay? I'm just saying. Like, it is not grass in the field, play ball. Maturity and physicality do not match up anymore. Sexual maturity and mental maturity do not match up. The human brain does not finish developing consequential reactions and all that